Hi everyone and welcome. In today's webinar, we will be discussing what post-market surveillance is and the benefits it could provide. We will also overview how an effective post-market surveillance process can be designed. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jeff Groskopf and I'm a quality system consultant with Medicept. I have over 10 years of experience in the medical device industry, working mostly in quality and regulatory roles. I hold a bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering and I am a certified ISO 13485-2016 lead auditor. Okay, let's get started then. To start off, it's important to understand how post-market surveillance fits into the device's life cycle. So let's review what a device's life cycle is. A device starts off by there being a need or desire for something. For the medical device industry, this is typically the result of an illness or disease. An idea to address this will be formed and the feasibility will be determined. If the idea is feasible, a company will kick off the design and development. Companies will follow their design control process to turn the idea into an actual device. By the way, there's a great white paper written by Stephen Gilbert of Medicept that provides guidance on the regulatory elements of a QMS and the quality-related procedures of the design control process. Please check it out if you have any questions on design controls. Device development will include completing verification and validation activities. This ensures the right device was designed, the device was built correctly, and the device can be manufactured. Upon completion, the device will be transferred and ready for production. Risk management will also be performed. This will establish the risk profile of the device and verifies the device's benefits outweighs the risk. Design and development, along with risk management activity, establishes the device's baseline for quality, safety, and performance. The device will undergo any required regulatory review for the markets that it will be sold. With regulatory clearance or approval obtained, the device will be commercialized and released to the market. This kicks off the post-market phase. As you can see, post-market surveillance is a part of the device's life cycle, which links to the risk management and design and development processes. So what is post-market surveillance then? The definitions of post-market surveillance from ISO 1345, US FDA, and EU MDR are displayed. Let's highlight the key similarities and intentions of these definitions. Post-market surveillance is the systematic process for collecting and analyzing experience or data of a marketed device. The EU MDR definition adds in the component of identifying and applying actions. Simply put, post-market surveillance is the process to collect and analyze real-world information on the marketed devices. This information is then used to determine what, if any, actions should be taken. It is a tool to monitor and take action to ensure a device continues to be safe and effective. Since post-market surveillance is linked to the device's safety, it should be no surprise that there are regulatory requirements that need to be met. The purpose behind these requirements are to set up a process for continuous improvement and ensure the device will remain safe and effective. Post-market surveillance requirements stem from the process requirements of the quality management system and risk management. These processes are concerned with gathering and utilizing production and post-production activities for monitoring and maintaining product, process, and customer requirements. This is described in Clause 8.2.1 for customer feedback from the Medical Device Quality Management System Standard, ISO 1345-2016, and Section 10 for production and post-production activities from the Medical Device Risk Management Standard, ISO 14971-2019. Beyond the QMS and risk management requirements, there are post-market surveillance regulations that are dependent on the risks associated with the device and the country the device will be marketed. Recently, regulators have seen the value of real-world evidence and have put an emphasis on this data. This was seen in Europe with the EU MDR implementing detailed post-market surveillance process and documentation requirements. It is no surprise that this will continue to be a trend for regulations in the future. We've established what post-market surveillance is, so now we got to establish why it should be conducted. As I previously indicated, it must be completed to meet the regulatory compliance requirements, but post-market surveillance should be completed besides the regulatory obligations. Manufacturers spend a ton of time and effort on the design and development of the device. This effort should not stop at product launch. They should want to ensure that they are providing their customers with a high quality and safe and effective device, or know what prevented this from occurring. So, post-market surveillance allows manufacturers to confirm the device functions as intended and provides the anticipated benefits. It provides a mechanism for monitoring the device's quality, safety, and performance. It creates a process for continuously gathering device users' information from users and patients. This real-world evidence of device safety and effectiveness re-verifies and revalidates its design. It also substantiates and helps maintain the device's risk-benefit profile. Using post-market surveillance, manufacturers will be able to detect and correct issues or emerging problems. They will also obtain data that can identify process and design improvements. Manufacturers should be designing a device's post-market surveillance process with all of this in mind. So how is post-market surveillance conducted then? Fundamentally, post-market surveillance should all follow a similar process flow. Information will be collected on the device. This information will then undergo some kind of analysis. Based on the results of the analysis, a decision will be made whether action should be taken. Required actions will be completed, and any required documentations will be created. This process will occur continuously throughout the device's lifecycle. There are quality management system processes that contribute to a device's post-market surveillance process. These processes include nonconformances, internal audits, complaint management, and CAPAs. These processes are important and provide the framework for post-market surveillance. However, manufacturers often make the mistake that these are the only data sources and activities that need to occur. In doing so, they are missing out on valuable data that will contribute to detecting issues and identifying improvement opportunities. For example, complaints will be reported when customers are experiencing an issue with the device. Manufacturers will use this information and take action to address it. The manufacturer will only be reacting to the device deficiencies or negative feedback that they received. This leaves out the opportunity to obtain positive feedback and information on what the customer likes about the device. Without this information, a manufacturer could inadvertently make a design change that adversely affects the customer's experience. This could lead to a decrease in sales, increase in customer complaints, or require additional design activities. All of this costs the manufacturer time and money. Let's break down the post-market surveillance further. Post-market surveillance is a data-driven process. A manufacturer begins by identifying what post-market surveillance activities they will conduct. This includes determining what, how, and when to collect and analyze device information that is meaningful and useful. It is important to consider both reactive and proactive data sources. The amount of information that will be collected must also be balanced. The information will be funneled throughout the process and prepared for analysis. The analyzed information becomes an input for QMS processes and must be in a format that is able to be used. This assists in determining and initiating the required actions. One such QMS process is risk management. Post-market surveillance and risk management are directly linked. Analyzed data is fed as an input into the risk management system. This provides production and post-production evidence for the quality, safety, and performance of the device. This information can be linked to hazards and harms that are identified in the risk management file. These hazards and harms should be updated using the data to quantitatively calculate the probability of occurrence. Any changes to the risk-benefit profile are indications that further action may be required. For example, the increase in the risk level for a hazard to the unacceptable level indicates that risk mitigation is required. The manufacturer will need to determine what risk controls can be implemented to reduce the risk back to the acceptable level. This provides a mechanism for continuously monitoring the device, and this ensures that the device continues to be safe and effective. Analyzed data will be reviewed to determine if actions are required. The process must determine how to use the information appropriately. This is one of the biggest challenges for manufacturers to overcome, but is also a crucial aspect. An effective post-market surveillance process will be a network of feedback loops. Leveraging appropriate QMS processes will assist in determining and completing the required actions. For example, a survey was sent out to users after they completed product training. The survey was distributed, received, and information was analyzed in accordance with the post-market surveillance process. The survey indicated that 50% of users were not able to get to the correct program without guidance. Based on the results, a nonconformance for the product training was initiated for further investigation. The investigation identified a deficiency in the training material and the instructions for changing programs in the IFU. As a result, this was escalated to a CAPA to handle and track the actions that will be taken. Gathering and properly using real-world data to initiate actions and make changes is vital to an effective post-market surveillance process. The more you put information that you put to use, the greater benefit that you'll receive from the process. You can also improve the efficiency of the post-market surveillance process through the use of a coding system for identifying and tracking detected issues throughout your QMS. One such solution would be the use of MIDRF codes. Medicept consultants Greg and Brian wrote a white paper that describes the importance and benefits of using these codes. If you are interested in learning more about this, please be sure to check out this Risk Management Data for Lifecycle Approach white paper. The post-market surveillance process should undergo continuous improvement, meaning the process should be reviewed and updated when necessary. This review should, at minimum, consider if there are any additional data sources that should be obtained. This ensures that the post-market surveillance is a living process. When we put the entire post-market surveillance process flow together and include a link to the risk management and design and development processes, a feedback loop has been created. This allows the device's quality, safety, and performance to be continuously monitored and provides a mechanism for determining when action should be taken. For a post-market surveillance process to be conducted effectively, careful planning and designing the process will be completed. There are three key components to address when designing the post-market surveillance process. First, identifying what sources of data will be collected. Second, deciding how and when to collect and analyze those data sources. And third, how appropriate actions will be determined and implemented. You could also add in a fourth factor, as regulatory compliance requirements should be considered when designing the entire system. Companies will need to consider how to address these components. They will also want to ensure that the system they design will work for them and their devices. This means that they will need to consider the design of the post-market surveillance process on a device or device family basis. Just because one process flow and data source works for one device does not mean it will work for every device, especially when you consider the variability between devices, such as the device type, therapy or treatment it provides, risks, user population, user environment, and user interface. A plan, do, check, act cycle can be utilized as the basis for post-market surveillance process design. In the white paper associated with this presentation, we dive into the details of how to use the plan, do, check, act cycle for designing and implementing the post-market surveillance process. Utilizing this methodology, it will help build an effective process to collect and analyze real-world information on a device. Manufacturers should know what is happening with their internal production processes and how the device is functioning and being used in the field. An effective post-market surveillance process will ensure the device remains safe and effective. Please read this white paper if you haven't already done so. If you could take one thing from this presentation today, I would request you remember that post-market surveillance process provides a link between the real-world data and your internal QMS processes. Collection and using this information ensures the device is safe and effective. With that, I would like to thank you for your time. If there are any questions or you are interested in improving or implementing a post-market surveillance system, please reach out to Medicept. We would be happy to help.